Hey guys, I'm Grace Torie, and you're listening to That Girl, the podcast. Grab a beverage of choice and settle in because the new episode is starting now. Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Grace Torie, and I'm back with a whole new podcast episode. For today's podcast episode, I thought it would be fun to talk about something that I am not sure if I've done an episode on it previously, but if I have, it's kind of an evolving topic because it's something that I have been working on probably my whole life, as most people have, and it's just like a big thing, especially for people who are in their 20s. Before I dive into it, I do want to do my little life updates, of course, a little 10 seconds to just dive into what's been going on in my world. So first thing, I am feeling a little bit better since my last episode. I ended up having a virus, so I still have a bit of a tummy ache and migraine, but other than that, I can actually get out of bed, so that's a step in the right direction. Also, our heater was fixed yesterday, so we have heat in the house again. So when it snows, I don't have to cry. It has been a long 2 weeks. Fun times though. Next, still don't have a car. Been good, been driving Josh's truck, but I just miss having a car that like is mine, that I can call my own, so just really missing that. Can't wait to have a new car again, and that's just like an ongoing thing, so we'll see what happens with that. Saving up some money right now. And lastly, I don't know if I mentioned this in the last episode because I hit it on Wednesday, but I was like sick, so I don't think I said anything. If I did, sorry, but thank you so much. We hit 100,000 plays on Wednesday. That is insane that 100,000 people have either seen my face or heard my voice. Like, what? So I just want to thank you guys so much. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for following, subscribing, continuing to be there, supporting me on Instagram and TikTok with this dream of mine. I am just a girl from Kentucky who is trying to help as many people as I can, inspire people and things like that. So the fact that you believe in me means the world to me, and I love you guys so much. So that is my life updates. And now I guess we'll go ahead and just jump on into this episode. So for today's episode, we are going to be talking about how to stop caring about what people think of you, or like what they're saying about you, judging you, all of that good stuff. I know it's hard, and I think that it's something that is more hard or more difficult because we can't control what other people do. So it's something where you have to really just look at yourself and see what you can do to fix yourself, even though it's someone else who's doing it, if that makes sense. So I have a whole list of things we're going to dive into and talk about that have helped me and can hopefully help you, or things that, you know, I kind of did some research on that other people have said have helped them. So hopefully you'll find something helpful and you can live your best life without that being in the back of your mind. So the very first thing that I put is ask, why is it bothering you? Why do you care, essentially? So for me, a reason that I cared is because I so badly wanted to be accepted and be loved by someone. And so once I figured that out, I nurtured that reason in a healthier way. So for example, self-love is something that once I learned to love myself, it didn't really matter if anybody else loved me because I loved myself. So once you figure out what that reason is, whether it's acceptance or love or whatever you may be dealing with, start with yourself. Once you accept yourself, once you love yourself, once you feel validated within yourself, you're confident within yourself, you're no longer gonna feel like you need that validation from anyone else. So start inwardly and just kind of journal about why you are caring so much about what other people think, and work on that, and I promise you'll notice a huge difference. Another thing is, I personally always want to be as kind and mindful of others as I possibly can be. So for me, not caring about what other people think felt wrong in a sense, because it felt like I wasn't taking their feelings into consideration. So I want to tell you guys, not my bunny in the background, I want to let you guys know that there's a boundary that you can set where you still care about people. Braxton's just having the time of his life. You can set boundaries where you still care about people, still care about their feelings, and take them into consideration while also not caring about what others think and like letting them judge you. Like, there's a level of not caring about what others think that can be toxic and unhealthy that we don't want to get to. So for example, I know everyone knows someone who uses the excuse of I don't care what people think as a way to get out of like accepting that they're hurting someone. So for example, like say that their friend cares about them and like doesn't want them to be seen as in a bad light by someone that they care about. Like I'm trying to think of an example. Like say they're headed down a bad path and their friend that really genuinely cares about that brings that to their attention, and then they turn around and say, well, I don't care what you think, I don't care what anybody thinks, and then they stop being friends with them. That is a toxic level of not caring about what other people think. Whereas if someone says, like for example, someone told me you shouldn't be doing a podcast, it's a waste of time, that is something that I shouldn't really take into consideration. So I think it's important to know when to set boundaries and say, hey, I need to listen to my intuition, versus, hey, I'm being mean. So understand that you cannot care about what people think and set boundaries while also being mindful of others' feelings, others' opinions, and things like that. You're not totally shutting yourself off from the world and just disassociating from everyone's feelings. That's not healthy, and that's not what I'm promoting here by any sense. I'm just getting it to the point where you feel confident enough that you're not relying on anybody else's demeaning or judgmental opinions to keep you from doing what you genuinely want or enjoy to do, or being more confident wearing that outfit, whatever, and you want to do. So the next bullet point that I want to bring up is when you are very mindful of the judgmental comments people may say, or the things that people, you know, what others are thinking of you, and when you care about that, an important thing to ask yourself is, how can I better spend my time? So I used to spend a lot of time thinking about this, and it would put me in a downward spiral, and then I would just like be upset for the rest of the night, and it would not be fun. It would kind of put me in like a depressive episode, because I am someone who does have depression. So something like that would kind of trigger me and put me in one of those situations. So I asked myself, what is a better way that I can be spending my time? I can be reading, I can be hanging out with friends who do care about me, I can be cleaning my house because I want a nice clean environment, and that genuinely makes me feel better, more confident, and have a higher level of self-love. So ask yourself, when you start to fall into those moments of what does someone think of me, gosh, what if they think this, oh, what if they think this, like what could you be doing to better spend your time in that moment? Also, think about ways that you're enabling yourself, and then remove those enablers. So for example, I found that when I would post something on Instagram and then I would check the likes, if I didn't get this number that I had in my head of likes, I would start thinking like, oh, nobody likes me, oh, everyone's kind of annoyed with me, oh, this outfit is stupid, things like that. And I would go into a spiral of like things that may not even be true, and it was enabling me to have that mindset. So what I've started doing is, if I post, I don't check my phone. I don't get on social media unless it's to one, post, or to two, do something with my podcast or a business sort of thing. So if I'm not doing something for business or posting, I'm not on there. I do everything I can not to scroll unless it's on my podcast account, because I consider that work. When I'm like getting ideas, interacting with other podcasts, that's work to me. But I am very careful not to follow anyone on that account that I know personally that could lead to like those thoughts. It's a completely different thing. I'm not on my personal unless I'm posting. And I just kind of had to set those boundaries, because I found that when I was just scrolling on social media, I was enabling myself to get those thoughts and think like, oh, well, so-and-so commented on their post, why don't they comment on my post? Do they not like me anymore? And things like that. So think about those areas in your life where you may be enabling yourself to get into that mindset, and try to limit that or put boundaries in place to mitigate those feelings. Also, it's important that you ask yourself who you think is judging you. Is it your friend group? Is it family members? Is it someone like someone's parents that you don't even know that well? And ask yourself why you're feeling that way. And if it's someone that you think is important in your life that you could have a conversation with them about it, have a discussion with them and say, hey, I've been feeling this way. I don't know if it's something you actually feel or if it's all in my head. Can we talk about this? And if it, you know, if it doesn't go well, it's important to know if they don't have your best interest at heart, maybe it's someone that you should consider. If you don't cut them out, just keep them a little bit more distance from you, because it's never good to have someone in your life who doesn't have your best interest in mind. Obviously, like, I feel like that's kind of obvious, but I still want to say it. If they don't have your best interest in mind, they shouldn't be someone that is close to you, or they can be around if it's someone who really means that much to you, but don't have them as like in your close circle, because that's just not someone who cares about you, honestly. A little bit of tough love there. It's also important, this is something that I constantly remind myself, this is probably my biggest tactic, is knowing that while I can limit the amount of noise that actually gets back to me, the things that people actually say, like while I can limit what they're saying about me and how much I see, I can't tell them these people themselves to stop talking. I guess I could, but what's it gonna do? Like, people are always going to talk. Humans are nosy. Humans are curious. Humans are nosy. We love to talk. Like, we just do. We love to, it's just a human nature. So people are always gonna talk. And in my head, I personally am more worried if people aren't talking than if they are, because I believe that I am on the path to do something extraordinary, or that's what I want to do. I don't want to do the same thing as every other person. I don't want to work a 9-to-5, have kids, and then retire and die. Like, I want to live a life that most people wouldn't and do some extraordinarily exciting things. And in order to do that, I'm gonna have to do some things that are against the regular grain that people go through, the regular cycles that society considers normal. I'm gonna have to do differently. So of course people are gonna talk. Therefore, I'm more worried if people aren't talking about me than if they are. That's what I tell myself, honestly, most often. I also kind of find it flattering regardless of what they say. Like, just flip the script and be like, wow, they are taking time out of their day to talk about me. That is so flattering, that I mean so much to this person. Whether it's positive or negative, I am so important in this person's life that they are taking time out of their day to talk about me. That is like I flip the script all the time, and I'm just like, wow, that is so, I am so blessed that many people see me as important in their lives to literally have a full text conversation about me in their group chat. I am making noise. And that's what I'm trying to do. Like, I'm trying to go against the grain. So all publicity is good publicity, baby. Like, that is just what I tell myself most often. That helps me personally, but obviously different people are gonna find different things helpful. I also want to tell you that it's not them talking that matters, it's your response that matters. So how you perceive it, how you handle it, things like that. So flipping the script is one response that I do most often. I don't say anything to anyone. I don't give them the satisfaction. I don't really care to. I'm in my own bubble. I have my own peace and I cannot be disturbed, but I do flip the script a lot, and then I just keep on doing my thing. I don't give more than a second attention to it. I'm just like, cool, I am so flattered, on to the next. It's also important that you put yourself in their shoes. So maybe they're jealous of something that you have going on. Maybe they're lacking something in their own life that you have. And I'm not saying to sit there and be judgmental, like text your friend and be like, oh, they're acting like this because they're just so jealous of me. Like, no, giving negative attention to them or talking about them negatively is not helping the situation. Don't even waste your time. But it is important to be empathetic and be like, man, maybe they are missing something in their own life, and that's why they're trying to compensate by seeing that thing in my life. And just like being more understanding of that makes you kind of look at it in a different light and be like, wow, I'm so sorry. I hope that they get what they're looking for, and then move on. Like, man, I hope they find a friend group that loves them as much as my family, my friend group loves me, or man, I hope that they find their own self-confidence and they're able to look at themselves in, you know, post a selfie as cute as mine, like something like that. Kind of be mindful of other people's point of view and why they may be doing the things they're doing or saying the things they're saying, because there's always a reason. There's always an underlying reason. The thing that's most important is turn the other cheek and kill them with kindness. Honestly, it's gonna drive them insane. If you are just, don't even respond to it and just continue being a nice, genuine, caring person, it's gonna drive them insane, because they're gonna be like, wow, why aren't they mean? Why aren't they responding to XYZ? Like, and then they're gonna feel guilty because they were treating you that way when you are being so nice. You are such a nice person. And eventually they'll move on because they'll see that you're not responding, and they'll move on to someone who will respond to their tactics. It's just like, killing people with kindness is not only like you're being kind, but people get bored with it. Like, eventually they're just like she is not responding, I'm not getting attention out of this, I'm gonna go find someone who's gonna give me attention, basically. And like I mentioned, they're gonna, like, it's gonna elicit more of a response from them. Like, they're gonna be more guilty than if you turn around and say, oh my gosh, why did you say this, da 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 da, and try to make it a big thing. Just turn the other cheek, baby. Be graceful and keep killing them with kindness. Another thing that I typically do is to be so focused on my own goals that I just don't care. Like, I am so focused on my podcast. You don't think I should have a podcast? Cool, I'm gonna keep doing it anyway. Like, it just right past me. It goes right in one ear, out the other, because I am so focused on my goals that I don't have time to listen to anything other than my intuition. I don't have time to listen to whether Sally Mae thinks that I should have a podcast, whether Sally Mae thinks that I should wear crop tops, whether Sally Mae thinks that my nose is too big or small. Like, I don't care, because I have bigger and better things to focus on, and in 5 years, I'm gonna look back and thank myself for being focused on my future, my career, my goals, my relationship, over what Sally Mae thinks about me and letting that consume all of my time. So just focus on your goals, baby girl. Your future self is gonna thank you. Another thing, if you are not the type of person that just like can let it go in one ear and out the other, a helpful thing that you can do is use it to motivate you. Prove these people wrong. If they say you can't do something and you want to do it, do it. I mean, obviously make sure that it's something that's good for your well-being. I want healthy girlies. I want good, motivated, strong girlies. I don't want you going out and vandalizing and breaking the law. But if it's something that you genuinely think you're capable of doing that is going to better you, and people just don't want you to do it because it's not typical or they don't think you can do it or whatever, prove them wrong. There is nothing more motivating than proving something wrong. So if you just can't ignore it and you're just like, this is bothering me, turn it around and use it to motivate you. I promise you, I've done that with the podcast. It's made me work harder in some areas. I've done that with school. I've done that with just life in general, the gym. Like, there are so many different things that I've applied this to, because someone said I couldn't do it, and I am a Taurus, so I'm very stubborn, and I got it done. It's also super, super important. I promise you, when you start doing this, you will see a major, major difference. Don't be a part of the problem. Don't be talking about other people. Don't be judging other people. When you vibrate higher, you're gonna attract better people into your life, and you're gonna realize that all of that chatter is just gonna disappear. So don't spend time sitting around with your friends just gossiping. It's not gonna help anything. You need to also make sure you know who you are, so that when people are telling you things and it's not who you are, you know that without a shadow of a doubt. So for example, some ways that I like to know who I am is affirmations. I can sit there and say, I'm confident, I'm loved, I'm strong, I'm beautiful. So when someone turns around and says, you are ugly, which I have had on my YouTube multiple times, I can turn around and say, no, I'm not. I am beautiful. I know that because I say affirmations every day, and it's literally ingrained in my head that I am beautiful. You can't tell me I'm not. Also, affirmations help if you don't feel beautiful. You can say, I'm beautiful, and you look in the mirror and you say, I'm beautiful, and have a little moment, and it really does help. Like, affirmations make a huge difference. I'm a huge believer. Also, having self-confidence in yourself and your abilities, which you can build through affirmations. You can build through a lot of ways, but the best way to build your confidence is by keeping promises to yourself. So whether that is, I'm gonna make the bed every day, and starting small and making your bed every day, whether that's, I'm gonna run a mile every day and you run a mile every day, whether that's, I'm gonna get this work done once a week, or I'm gonna get 2 podcast episodes up. Building your confidence in yourself is it's key, because when you have confidence in yourself and your abilities and someone tries to tell you aren't capable of doing something, you know that you are, because you've seen yourself do it over and over again, and you're like, if I can put 2 podcast episodes up this week, I can do it next week too. It's also really, really important to have a support group that validates your truths. For example, friends, family. If you're close with your family, I'm super close with my mom. I'll go to her with stuff all the time. I also go to my best friend all the time, because we've been through a lot of friend groups where like the groups have broken up and we've stayed together. Like, we are those friends that will just watch our group shatter, and then we'll be together, and then we'll both go into a new friend group together, and all of a sudden that one will eventually fall apart too, and it's just like the 2 of us standing there at the end. Like, that's literally us. And there's been times when people have been talking crap about me, and I've gone to her and I've said, hey, am I shallow? Am I, narcissistic? Am I these things? And she's been in the conversation. She hangs around me. She knows me better than most people, and she'll say to me without sugarcoating it, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. Like, I remember a couple years ago, someone that I wasn't as close with told me that I needed to get a backbone because I was letting people walk all over me. And I immediately went to Katie and I said, hey, do I need to get a backbone? Like, so-and-so said that I don't have a backbone and I let people walk all over me, but I feel like I'm just being nice. Like, I don't want to be mean to people. I don't know, should I get a backbone? And she's like, actually, Grace, I agree. Like, you really don't have a backbone and you let people walk all over you. And this is how we can help that. And then I kind of said, okay, well, I'm going to come to you with situations, and can you help me decide how I'm going to move forward with more of a backbone? And I have grown so much in the past probably 3 years since we had that conversation. Like, I don't let anyone walk. Well, that's not true. I do let people walk all over me, but not near as much as I used to. And I'll be like, wow, I was a savage. I was just so mean. And she'll be like, no, Grace, you established boundaries. You had a backbone. And I'm like, wow, I guess you're right. Like, she's an Aries, so it's just like inner bones. You know how Aries are. And I'm not. I just like peace and quiet and chill, and I want to hang out with my bunnies and my dogs. So when it comes to conflict, not my thing. So yeah, that's an example of having a support group where you can just go to them and say, yo, am I being mean? Am I being this? Am I doing this? And you can tell when it's coming from a place of they care about you, or when it's coming from a place of they're jealous or they don't like you or whatever. It's also important that you don't give energy to the situations. Don't sit there and think about it all night, ponder it all night, talk to your friends and get more upset about it than you were originally. Do not give energy to it. If you feel like it warrants a response, you can respond. But if it doesn't, is it even worth it? Like I said, is your future self gonna look back and be like, man, I'm so glad that all night you sat there and thought about that? No. Sometimes it's worth it to say something. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. If you don't say something, it is gonna build up and it's gonna harm your friendship. I can be honest about that. But if you do say something and it's not worth it, like, there is one person in my life who would say very hurtful things about me, and I thought that we were friends. Like, it was way out of left field when the whole thing started, and it harmed our friendship. We eventually stopped being friends, but I didn't say anything to her because I knew she wasn't in a place to receive it. Like, if they are not into a place to respond and have an adult conversation about it, and you can tell when they are, is it even worth it, honestly? Like, I know that may not be the best advice, but I just sometimes have to, I cut my losses and just move on, because I just feel like if they're not in a place to receive it and it's just going to blow up and turn into an even worse thing, it's not worth your time or energy. And that's kind of how I feel about it. Some people tell you to try and talk it out, but if they're not in a place to talk about it, it's just like cut your losses and either let them, if it's someone that you really care about, you can just let them have their moment, and then when they're ready to talk about it, you can. If it's someone you care about but you know it's not going to get better and it's kind of been something they've done for a long time, maybe it's time to just kind of back up and fade into the background and let them continue to throw a tantrum, because they're not just doing it to you, they're doing it to everybody, I promise you. Another important thing, I feel like I say that about everything, like every new topic I'm like, another important thing, another thing, but another thing to talk about is, for each hurtful thing, tell yourself 2 compliments. So that has helped me as well with building my confidence, building my self-esteem, whatever you want to call it. Whenever someone tells me a hurtful thing, like, oh, Grace is so cringe, like Grace is so weird, I'll turn around and say to myself, I am beautiful and unique, I am gonna change the world. That's 2 things that mean a lot to me, and then I move on about my day. So usually if they say something hurtful, say the opposite and then say one more compliment that you would really mean a lot to you, and that has helped me. I kind of talked about this a little bit, but you can also have tunnel vision and just focus on the end. So focus on the end goal, have tunnel vision. Sometimes you don't even hear it. If you do hear it, let it go in one ear and out the other, but if you don't, you need to have tunnel vision on your goals. Obviously still be present in the moment and hang out with your friends. Sometimes my tunnel vision is a little bit too much and I don't live in the present and I get very caught up in the future. So I'm not talking about doing that, that's a little too much, but you can be in the present while still focusing on the future. Like, be so focused on your goals that if someone tells you they're not going to happen or that you're not capable of doing it, you don't even hear it. It just like right over your head, you don't even hear it. I just hit the bunny pen. It's right out of the camera. Oh, kind of off topic, but I got my nails done yesterday and she did them a little too long and I'm kind of sad because this is like my favorite nail place ever. So RIP to me. I think I'm gonna throw on some rings and try to fix it, but ouch, you know? Okay, so something else is, if they are open to receiving, even if they're not, stand up to them. If you're there and you hear it happening, stand up to them, be graceful about it, and don't start a fight for the sake of starting a fight, but say, hey, I heard that and that was really hurtful. I just want you to know that I'm really disappointed, or something like that. Don't leave it open to an argument. Don't just be like, well, screw you too. Don't just be like, well, I think da 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 and start a fight. Like, be graceful, be elegant, be adult about it. But it's okay to stand up for yourself and say enough is enough. There is nothing wrong with standing up for yourself. It's the intentions behind it. Like, if you're just standing up for the sake of starting a fight, no. If you're standing up for the sake of standing up and you don't want to get anything out of it other than standing up for yourself, you're good. You know? Like, you're good. I think that the last little thing I have is, I just wanted to remind you that you are beautiful, and the reason that people talk about you is typically because, like I mentioned, you're doing something extraordinary that is out of their comfort zone. So don't ever feel like you're doing anything wrong. Usually it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. So don't even let it bother you. It shows you're doing something right. And I love you so much. I'm so proud of you and how far you've come. And I can't wait to see the beautiful things that you do as you continue to grow. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, listening, being here for this episode. If you don't mind leaving a rating and review, you can tap the stars or you can write one out. That would mean so much to me if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you're on YouTube, hitting that like button, subscribing, and you can comment and tell me anything that you want, how you felt about this episode, how you feel about the podcast in general. I will respond to every single comment. I'm not even joking, because I love you so much and I love talking to you guys. Other than that, if you are on any platform, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, we're available everywhere. So any of those, don't forget to follow, because I upload every single Wednesday and Sunday with a new episode. Also, check out my Instagram and my TikTok. I post all kinds of stuff on there almost every single day. I love interacting with you guys, and there's going to be a lot of changes in the new year, which I mentioned in the past episode if you're curious as to what those are. I would love to have you join our community of girlies, all working to become our best version of ourselves. So whatever that girl means to us, that's what we're working towards. And I think that's pretty much it. If you're watching this on Sunday, I hope you have a great rest of your night. If you're watching this at any other day, I hope you have a great morning, night, or afternoon, and I will see you soon. All right, I love you guys so much. I am gonna go feed my bunnies now. Bye, guys.